This episode is brought to you by the Colfax Avenue Business Improvement District. Time is running out to snag your 2025 bag of Colfax. This special gift is Colfax Ave's annual curated gift bag with 4 to 6 hand-selected products from iconic Colfax businesses. The bags are on sale now until they sell out, and trust me, they always do. The bags can be picked up starting now at the Learned Lemur, and orders will be fulfilled by December 23rd. Order yours online at colfaxave.com/Colfax-programs. That's colfaxave.com/Colfax-programs. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Denver Health is proud to sponsor the CityCast Denver Denver's Denver Awards. As the backbone of this city for 165 years, they are Denver's most trusted. Denver Health is more than a hospital, more than a doctor, more than a treatment. They are a community. Denver Health is your neighbor and your champion, with you for life's journey. Denver Health offers emergency care, urgent care, and primary care, as well as healthcare in more than 130 other specialties. Most major insurance types are accepted. Visit denverhealth.org/citycast to learn more. That's denverhealth.org/citycast. Today on CityCast Denver, State Senator Julie Gonzalez is stepping up to challenge John Hickenlooper for his seat in the U.S. Senate. What does this progressive versus centrist battle say about the future of Colorado's Democratic Party? Producer Paul Caroli and I dig into the political intrigue, plus discuss the latest drama around road changes to Alameda, and hear listeners' thoughts on RTD's ongoing woes. Today is Tuesday, December 9th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, good morning, Bree.
Well, day 2 of our year-end membership campaign. We are inviting you all, if you are not already, we know a lot of you are, but we know a lot of you still aren't, members, neighbors, part of the CityCast Denver neighbor community. And if you join right now, you get some cool stuff. Paul, what do folks get if they join?
I mean, number one, they get to have that great feeling of knowing you're a good person.
You're supporting local journalism.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like a good person.
Yeah, I'll tell a story, actually. I tell this story. So I meant to tell this during our last membership campaign, actually. But you know this, I give blood every 8 weeks.
Sure.
It's something I love doing. I've done it for a few years now, and I really enjoy it. I don't even remember why I started, but I know why I keep going.
Why is that?
Because it makes me feel good. It's for me. I love
You're
knowing...
not just talking about the lightheadedness and the cookie.
No, well, the cookie's nice. And then the people like offering me water and juice and stuff and trying to make sure I don't pass out. That's all great. That makes me feel taken care of. But it's like, yeah, good. You know, the blood goes to somewhere. Someone enjoys it. Someone maybe, you know, is healthier, happier
I've had a
as a
blood
result
transfusion.
of it. It helps people. I'm sure it does. Yeah. But I do it for me. Makes me feel good. Every time I do it, I walk out of there knowing, wow, I did my part. I did a nice thing for people, and I feel proud of myself. And you can give that gift to yourself today by joining the CityCast Denver membership program.
You don't even have to give us your blood.
In fact, we'd prefer if you don't.
We'd prefer if you just signed up.
Sign up now at membership.citycast.fm.
But the cool part this year, the end of year, the coolest part for us is when you sign up for this, you get a free ticket to our Denver's Denver Awards. And I know we've been talking about it a lot, but I just have to say, I was down at the Oriental Theater last week with our team.
How did that go, actually?
It was awesome.
Okay, good.
I can't wait. I love working with the Oriental. Those guys are so nice. But like being in the space and being like, this is going to be a CityCast out, music. We're going to have, so many cool people are going to be there. It was just like picturing what it's going to look like, but it's only going to be awesome if everybody fills those seats. And we want you to be there. So if you sign up today, you get a free ticket to be one of those people. And you can come hang out with us and...
Just a great perk.
Yeah. And you get to hang out at our neighbors only after party.
So it's the ad-free listening that comes with membership.
Of course.
You get the invites to the member exclusive events, including this after party. And then this time you get the free ticket
to our show.
But I think also like the big draw of this event, honestly, is like, you're going to get to sit in the audience with people, some of the like most impactful, coolest people doing the most exciting stuff in the whole city. They're going to be there, and you're going to have a moment where someone up on stage saying, and the nominees are, and then they open an envelope and they say, and the winner is, and you're going to be able to look around the Oriental Theater and see these people react and respond in real time and know that if they win this award, their life's going to change. Their business is going to get more successful. People are going to know that they're the best.
Well, and I think you already probably know a lot of these folks, which makes it even more beautiful that you get to see them on stage being celebrated for probably the things you know about them already. We've got all of these Denverite finalists. We've got great small businesses. It's just a feel-good moment that we want you to be a part of with us. So go to membership.citycast.fm, sign up today. Again, you get a ticket to that, plus all that other cool stuff.
Presented by Denver Health, by the way.
Presented
Shout out to
by
our
friends at
sponsor.
Denver Health.
Thanks for helping us make an awesome event.
Truly. So
let's get to the news.
Yeah, let's do it.
Some big news today.
Man, this was all over the place. Senadora Julie Gonzalez, we've had on the show many times, made a big announcement. What's her big announcement, Paul?
Well, she's running for a new office, but she gets to keep the necklace if she wins. She would still be Senadora if she wins the race.
True.
She is running for a different Senate. Since 2019, she's been in the state Senate, and now she wants to be in the United States Senate.
Yes.
Big step up.
Huge.
And so this is a race against, first, John Hickenlooper, who is, the longtime, one of the most famous Coloradans, probably one of the most successful politicians in the history of the whole state. I was just looking back at his bio and thinking, wow, this guy has pretty much done it all. He has won a lot of elections.
Mayor.
But the next one is June 2026, and there's other candidates, but Julie Gonzalez I definitely think is a top contender. This is a big showdown. I was just thinking, if I was a boxing promoter and I was trying to pick the best possible matchup to maximize the drama.
Why do you say that?
It would be this.
Why that? Why these two?
Because the contrast between them are everywhere. One's a centrist, one's a progressive. One's old, one's young. They have very different approaches to talking about Trump and resisting Trump. Very different approaches, as Julie Gonzalez herself is trying to point out in her campaign announcement. And I think these differences get to the very core of the challenge facing Democrats in America, and Colorado especially right now. These are the questions that define the future of the party. And so in June, when we see the votes roll in, we're going to know how liberal Coloradans feel about these core questions.
Hickenlooper, like you said, long time, huge name. We know name recognition goes very far in elections. What is Julie herself, or what is she saying about why she's choosing to take this on?
Well, I think a lot of people thought Hickenlooper was vulnerable for a few reasons. One, his age. He, in 2027, January, when whoever wins this election will be inaugurated, he'll be 82 years old, turning 83, which is about as old as our current president.
Sure.
She's currently having this same issue. A lot of its political vulnerability. Everybody knows the story with former President Biden. But the other thing he's got against him right now is that he has voted for almost as he is this of the whole U.S. Senate. When Trump's nominations came to the Senate for all of his cabinet positions, only one other senator voted for as many of these nominees as Hickenlooper, and it was John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. So this is something that progressive Coloradans and Denverites especially have been banging on Hickenlooper all year. Is not only is he not doing enough to resist Trump, but he is actually acquiescing to all of these nominations. I was talking to one state legislator a couple weeks ago, and she was like, I just want to, look, I know it might not make a difference because the Republicans have the votes, but I just want to see you resisting. People want to see you out there. And if she was like, if it was me, look, we're going to lose the vote, but I would be out in the street standing in front of the cars bringing the nominees to the Senate for the nomination vote. Like, I want to You got to make a show of it. That's what people want right now, at least liberals in Denver.
But what is Hickenlooper saying about his votes and behavior in this way? Because I know he's defending it.
Sure, he is. Yeah, no, I mean, the nominations you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty interesting issue because it's an issue of strategy, and it once again shows the contrast. Because Julie Gonzalez, she's never been a lawmaker under Republican governor. She's never had that challenge that he is now facing as a senator under Trump. And his answer to this criticism has been, to the Hill earlier this year, my hope and my gut is that we will definitely get benefits from it. He's talking about his votes in favor of these nominees. And whatever bad things happen to us, without those relationships, I think the bad things will turn out to have been much worse.
This is really the epitome of the fight, but the internal strife of the Democrats right now. That approach.
Yeah. How do you resist Trump? Do you try to find the opportunities to work together? Do you try to maintain relationships so maybe you can do something productive for the people of Colorado? This has been Jared Polis's approach as governor. Or do you just say hell no to everything he possibly tries and be a stick in the mud and throw a wrench in the gears and just try to jam everything up for 4 years until you can win another election? And maybe that's the most satisfying thing that's going to galvanize your supporters so you can win more seats in Congress and push back. It's a real toughie.
Well, so let's talk more about what is setting these two apart, because again, they're Democrats. They probably align on quite a few things, but what you're talking about is their approach. What's different? Like, I'm thinking of a voter who's like, well, I know Hickenlooper's name. He's a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. What is this? What could this really look like?
Well, we talked about politics, I think, and we haven't really talked about policy.
Sure.
I think policy-wise, the difference is he's a little bit more of a centrist. She's a little bit more of a progressive. As governor, he was most famous for weed. He presided over legal weed. He was initially against it, and then he eventually was for it once the winds of politics started changing. And he's consistently said he wanted to make it work as well as possible. So if you like the way the regulatory framework looks, it's a lot of the responsibility goes to him for making that possible. And he has actually since been an advocate of legal weed and for his values on legal weed at the federal level. There's one example. He got some legislation passed. This was back under Biden to make it easier for researchers to access weed to
Sure.
I do some study on drunk driving or driving under the influence, I guess. As senator, he also sponsored a bill to make it cheaper to drive EVs. He also, this I think was a big win for the state, especially for the tech industry. He helped bring $40 billion in federal investment to Colorado to kickstart the quantum tech industry. That was under Biden's CHIPS Act. So that's huge. I mean, we haven't seen the dividends pay off yet, but when it does, that's going to be a huge impact.
So we're talking weed, we're talking the economy.
Tech, business.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Julie, I mean, her highlights, I mean, I think she's known as a staunch Democrat, definitely well-respected, well-liked within especially the Denver Democrats. Her policy wins are many. I mean, she sponsored a lot of successful legislation. Predatory towing, she was a big champion of that bill that eventually passed. I mean, the first one, of course, didn't really work. The second one drove Wyatt's towing out of the state. Resisting Trump's immigration crackdown, she helped pass a bill earlier this year to make it harder for law enforcement to work with the feds. Codifying abortion access as a fundamental right. A lot of stuff on immigration. She worked on a bill that blocked that took the words illegal alien out of state documents and contracts. She worked on another one allowing undocumented immigrants to receive public housing benefits. But then especially when it comes to the economy, this is a big difference. He's definitely, I think, more of the centrist abundance wing. She's more of the progressive side, pushing things like renter protections, rent control, increasing money for affordable housing is a big win she'll probably talk about a lot. And she's been one of the biggest fighters against the rent algorithm.
I mean, to me, this sounds like an exciting race.
100%. I can't wait.
Like, this is, because again, it's so hard to talk so early before, we're not even to the primaries in June, which is where the big stuff really does happen for Democrats. But the fact that we're looking at these two candidates who have both done big things, it's making a decision about which of those big things are most important to Coloradans.
Yeah. It's
and
a little
approach.
bit of a David versus Goliath. She's got a long
Absolutely.
road to go. Then there's not a lot of months until June. She's going to have to raise a lot of money. She's going to have to get her name out there, and she's going to have to find a way to appeal to people all across the state. She's never won a statewide election. He's won many.
Sure.
But his main liability being his age and the way that he has behaved under the Trump administration. We're going to learn a lot about how people feel about that. I think the other interesting thing about this is just the way that her presence in the race might change his positioning. We typically see in a primary like this, candidates will tack to the left to try to appeal to their party base. And we are already seeing that with Hickenlooper. This is the Colorado Sun reported that Hickenlooper's campaign has been preparing for Gonzalez to enter the race. For instance, it redirected people seeking to visit julieforcolorado.co to Hickenlooper's campaign website. And his social media pages have also appeared to be sharing increasingly progressive messaging. Quote, "We're the wealthiest country in the history of the world," he posted on X recently. "Healthcare should be a right, not a privilege."
The messaging and the pivoting is really interesting. I don't know how common it is to do that sort of tactic of like redirecting a website.
Oh, the website thing?
But,
I don't know either. That's very funny though.
It is funny, but it's also
It's a blood sport.
There's other candidates in this race. He clearly sees her as the biggest challenger.
Yeah, there are some I had never heard of them. Karen Breslin, Brashad Hosley, Anthony Zimfer, the Democrats. On the Republican side, there might be a couple that could challenge it. I think the Democrat will likely win. Former state rep Janak Joshi, U.S. Marine Corps veteran George Mankert, and Pastor Dathan Jones. Maybe one of those people is going to come out and have a great message that appeals to a wide range of people. Maybe not. My money would be on whoever wins this Hickenlooper-Gonzalez matchup.
Yeah. Well, we'll be watching it. We've got quite a bit of time, but I think it's only going to get more interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. My little family was lucky to travel a lot this year, from Miami and Seattle to our first ever vacation to Paris and Copenhagen. And that means a whole lot of pictures of us that we had to share with Nana and Tutu and Papa and everyone in the family. But who wants to see once-in-a-lifetime photos of their grandkid under the Eiffel Tower on their phone? That's where Aura Frames comes in. This amazing frame is an evolving photo album that can be displayed for all to enjoy. You get unlimited free space for photos and video. Just download the Aura app and connect to Wi-Fi. Share photos and videos effortlessly, straight from your phone, all year long. You can even preload photos before it ships. Keep adding from anywhere, anytime. Even personalize your gift and add a message before the frame arrives. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code CityCast at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CityCast. This deal is exclusive to our listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. The idea of learning a new language can be scary. I felt overwhelmed by that. I bet you have too. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and studies show that up to 90% of people trying to learn a new language give up. 90%. Fortunately, Babbel's built so that it's really easy to get started and really easy to stick with it. They understand that people learn differently. So maybe you can dive into a podcast on Babbel when you don't feel like a quick lesson, or you can speak out loud to get practice in, or you can explore courses based on specific topics and even create your own customized review lists, all within the Babbel app. Babbel has made learning a language all about small steps with real wins and progress you can actually track and feel. Bite-sized lessons that fit easily into your daily routine and are also easy to remember. Just 10 minutes a day is enough to start seeing real results. I've been learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's helped when I've traveled in Mexico, and it helps me eavesdrop on my son and my girlfriend when they speak Spanish to try to fool me. No más, mi corazón. However you learn best, by listening, speaking, reading, or writing, Babbel adapts to your style and keeps you motivated with personalized learning plans, real-time feedback, and progress tracking. And right now, here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, let's move on to our next story.
Okay, this is what we've been talking about for a while.
Diets. We love to talk about diets.
Diet culture.
Diet culture. We talked about diet culture last week with the hat, with having a skinny looking head if you wear the Colorado hat. But this is different.
This is different. This is that situation in Wash Park with Alameda Avenue. The Department of Transportation. I'll just do a quick recap until we get to the new stuff. But the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure was just about to start construction on a traffic calming project on Alameda, like a month and a half, 2 months ago. They were going to take it from 4 lanes down to 3 and install a bunch of pedestrian and bike safety infrastructure. But then the plan changed.
Yes. So, well, Dottie says it's pushback to that new plan. Dottie says that they decided to scale back the project, which again has been in the works since 2020. But
if not before. I was at the community meeting last week.
It said 2018.
There were some people there who were saying, I've been working with the city on this for 15 years.
It makes sense to as a person that traverses that very often. I can imagine that it has been something that neighbors in particular, folks really spoke out who have lived right on that strip, talked about the struggle that they've had with the traffic here. But Dottie is saying that they got pushback to that finalized plan, 300 plus signatures from a group saying that they didn't want, there was pushback to the plan, essentially. Mm-hmm. And there's been some question about why Dottie has made that decision. And
tell me why.
Well, the group organizing, the group organized opposition was spearheaded by Jill Anschutz. So she's the daughter-in-law of Colorado's richest man, conservative billionaire, Bill Anschutz. Neighbors are saying, hey, we think that Jill had some pull in here more than maybe the rest of us did. And
do you think that's true?
So 9 News actually reached out to Jill directly, and she responded via email saying this has nothing to do with her family and denied leveraging her family's name or making any sort of financial anything like that. But a public records request shared with 9 News detailed that an email Anschutz sent to the city months before the reversal, listing the reasons why she didn't want this project to go through. So there was evidence of communication at the very least. And in another internal email, public records obtained by Denverite said that there was this group, again, Act for Alameda, which Jill spearheaded, hired a former Dottie deputy chief of staff a few months before the city revised the plan. And so the Act for Alameda group said the original plan threatened to create this lasting negative impacts on the neighborhood. And this neighborhood group that was pushing for the plan is saying, we think that they hired a lobbyist that had a little bit of insider knowledge with Dottie, and that's what they're saying. They're saying there was some inside conversations that may have been spearheaded by this relation to a billionaire that changed everything for a neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was, like I said, I was at the meeting. I heard these neighbors very angry about this.
That's what I wanted to ask you about because you were there.
There's this real sense from these neighbors that it's unfair that this person who's very wealthy has like extra access and extra sway. And I do think that these Cora requests show that she had access. Like these emails show that the folks that work at Dottie were responding to her and her petition of 300 plus people. But what I am questioning, and I don't see a smoking gun on this, is like, what are they supposed to do? Like if 300 plus people have a petition and they say they don't like this plan, do you just tell those people no?
That's a good...
Because the previous petition had 800 people and they liked the original plan. So it's like, from Dottie's perspective, it's like, okay, there's 2 neighbor groups. Some people like it and some people don't. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the crashes. What's safest?
Yeah.
What are these spillover effects that this one group is alleging? Let's analyze this. That's what I saw.
I mean, I also just think you're getting to the crux of the struggle with community engagement. It's never ending. You could go on forever and ever, and someone will always tell you that they didn't know. They were not aware. So it's a hard... I can see Dottie's position as much as I can see the neighbors' frustration is... We could keep hearing from folks forever.
I'm sure you can. Everyone's going to have their own problem. Also, per the safety question, which is, I think, the core question. Yeah. The one moment from the meeting was really striking. Denverite grabbed it too, but I wrote it down in my notes. I was like, this is the whole thing.
I wanted
to
ask you about this because you were there. I read it. What is it? What was it actually like?
Well, all the neighbors were yelling at Amy Ford. She took a lot of abuse. She honestly earned her salary that day. She was getting yelled at left and right. And someone was like, as a pedestrian, you're saying that crossing 4 lanes of traffic is the same amount of safe as crossing 3 lanes of traffic, but it just feels less safe. That's the question. Because that's Amy Ford's contention, is that the new plan is just as safe. And Amy Ford's response, no words, just a quiet nod.
I have to show my cards here. I live on this street. I feel that experience. It's even wider on my end. There's more lanes on Alameda. The question, safety is always about people's personal perception, but
sometimes it's about crash data.
I feel like
She's got the data.
Yeah, but I feel like the neighbors are also justified in saying these are the actual experiences that we have day to day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not just the crashes, but like there was someone quoted saying, I mentioned this before, my husband was walking down the street and his hand was hit by someone's mirror. And that's something that Dottie's talking about too, is like they still haven't completely addressed that issue, how to get people farther away from the cars. And I think that's some folks' frustration with this new plan is it's not necessarily getting pedestrians physically farther enough away from cars. So I mean,
they do have infrastructure still in the new plan for that.
But I think the neighbors are saying we still don't feel like it's going to be enough.
Yeah, no, they don't like it at all. They want more.
And I don't know. It's hard for me learning what I've learned from all of these transit advocates over the years. Like they've really changed my perspective as a person that tends to drive more places. They've changed my perspective on understanding just what big differences things can make when we have less space for cars. So I guess that's my bias there is I see that frustration from folks. I think the other big frustration too is they've said over and over again, we've been working, the community group that was in favor of the big changes have said that the city has been working with us for, like you said, over 5 years. Mm-hmm. For it to change suddenly, I can see where their frustration is. Whether or not we can make these connections directly with the communication between Dottie and Jill Anschutz and these folks as the quote smoking gun or not, I see where the frustration is, at least saying, but we have been talking about this. Why did it change?
Yeah. I mean, the way I feel about it is the way I always feel about these kinds of things. Like there's going to be winners and losers. Anytime any regulation has a winner and a loser, any change. And in this case, Alameda is a big thoroughfare. People use it to get from the east side of the city to the west side of the city. Those drivers have an interest. The neighbors have an interest. Now, the city collectively has decided through years of planning processes that safety is a priority. This is on the high injury network. The mayor has said that. We voted for this mayor to execute this vision that he promised. And so I think in a couple of years, when it's time to do a re-election, maybe we talk again about safety and we put this record up against his promises and then decide again whether or not he is the best choice to keep the city as safe as we want it to be.
It feels like a long time.
Well, there's no other way to do it. For folks who have been
working on this for a long time too, I guess. It's like, I don't know. To me, I just see less hope for even bigger, wider streets getting any kind of attention too. I'm thinking about where the CDOT offices are at the Colfax and Federal Cloverleaf. I looked at a street view of that before we talked to see, I was just thinking about other big places where I see pedestrians really like running for their lives. That's 8 lanes across in one spot. I would be concerned that we aren't going to be able to get those spaces safer if we can't even get somewhere like this section of Alameda.
Are they working on that?
That's a good question. I know it's one of the Vision Zero. I know it's one of the Vision Zero issues. I know there's a group, I think overseen by Dan Shaw, that's looking at removing the cloverleaf altogether.
That's the West Colfax Business Improvement District?
Yes. Who say the cloverleaf is a huge part of the problem for pedestrians because it really is just a highway interchange essentially in the middle of the city. So there are folks working on it. I don't know. This maybe just says what Denver does want to prioritize.
You know what else it says is like how much people we want to say from everybody. In China, if they wanted to do a traffic calming project, they would just do it. They would just have the person who is the expert in the office and they would just go out and do it, and they would do it in a day. Again,
the pluses and minuses of community engagement, right? Like
I don't know. I think this has been anyway, what else I learned that I didn't see on a lot of the reporting is that Amy Ford did agree to take all the new feedback from the neighbors that liked the original plan. She's going to go back. They're going to do another design. They're going to keep working on it. It's not locked.
It's not done. That's a good point to make.
She said currently our preference is the 4-lane partial slowing, the revised plan, the Anschutz plan, some might say. But they're going to go back and look at it again and come back in 6 to 8 months with some revisions. And they promise to be even more communicative. But they're having trouble with that because there's been a lot of layoffs at the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure because of the city's general budget issues. Yeah. And I think they're still kind of scrambling to figure out how to prioritize the resources they have.
Sure. And I mean, this is just one group and one project, and we're talking about dozens of projects all over the city. This is an ongoing thing. That's just the life of a city, I suppose. Well, we'll keep watching to see, since it's not for sure. It's not done. Hey, Bree here. I love Denver, and I never feel more connected to it than when I run into multiple friends from different eras of my life at a place like St. Mark's, which is one of my fave old school coffee shops in Denver. I always know I'm in the right place when I'm at St. Mark's. And that feeling of deep connection with the city is why we created the CityCast Denver Neighbors program. Yes, CityCast Denver Neighbors is a way to support this podcast and keep it going, but it's also a way of getting more out of the city you love. When you're a CityCast Denver neighbor, you get an early look at events coming up around town. You get to shout out local nonprofits or businesses you love on the podcast, and you get to join us for members-only experiences around the city, like our big award show, which, if you sign up to be a neighbor now, comes with a free ticket to the show, and it gets you into our neighbors-only after party. Join CityCast Denver Neighbors by going to membership.citycast.fm right now. That's membership.citycast.fm, and I'll see you around town. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I love Christmas lights, pine and fir-scented candles, and of course, getting a little cozy and watching holiday movies. No better way to elevate the snuggly experience than with Cozy Earth's Bubble Cuddle Blanket. Cozy Earth's Bubble Cuddle Blanket combines comfort and style with its distinctively textured bubble design and ultra-soft faux fur feel. Featuring an extended plush pile and mid-weight construction, it's the perfect size for me and my husband and our 4-year-old to snuggle up and watch Home Alone on repeat. I asked my son what he thinks about the Bubble Cuddle Blanket, and this is what he said.
I love the Cozy Earth Bubble Cuddle Blanket.
I love cuddling with you in the Cozy Earth Bubble Cuddle Blanket. What about you?
Yes.
Should we get Daddy to cuddle with us? No, it's just you and me?
Yeah, no, me and you.
I love it. I love you.
Yeah.
Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code CozyDenver for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays and carries into the cozy new year. Go to CozyEarth.com. Okay, it's Tuesday. This is when we hear from you, our brilliant and hilarious listeners, about the things you care about, past shows, past guests, things that we've talked about, and how you feel about them. Should I read this text?
I would love that.
Okay. I just listened to I'm sorry, we don't know who it's from. It's just a text. It says, I just listened to the episode with CEO Deborah Johnson. I didn't know much about the woman beforehand, and she's the CEO of RTD, to be clear. But I got to say, I don't really like her any more than what little knowledge I had from before she spoke like a stiff politician. All of her answers were kind of very technical and the non-answer. I had hoped for a little bit more than that. You know, when I think of my vision for the future of Denver public transit, or just public transit in general, it's not a hard answer. I want public transit where I don't need a car. I live more southeast, almost to Parker, and if I were try to take public transit to work, it would have taken at least 2 hours to a 25-minute drive, and that's just not feasible. We don't have near enough train lines or a large enough bus fleet to have reliable and extensive public transit networks, and that makes me really sad.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I think this person has a real experience. I can't imagine trying to get from Parker to anywhere else on I don't know anyone who lives in Parker that takes public transit. So they have an excellent point. What do you think from your conversation with Deborah?
I think Deborah would agree with you. I think when one of the more revealing parts of the conversation, which I agree was challenging because she does have a unique way of speaking, is that her comments on how deprioritized public transit is in the city, how there are just so many instances where she comes against blockers and challenges just because culturally over the years, Denverites and Coloradans have not prioritized public transit. And we could have a world-class public transit system. I mean, this person goes on to talk about Tokyo, Japan, which has a great system. You go to Tokyo, you get around on a train, you realize it's really complicated. It's hard. I had a hard time figuring it out because there's like 6 different lines that are all built on top of each other at different times, because at 6 different points in their history in the last 100 years, they spent billions of dollars to build train lines. We have never done that. We did one time, and we did it in the cheapest, crappiest way, where they only have single lines. So anytime they have maintenance, they has to shut down the line for months, like we saw in the last year.
But it was really revealing from her, because I didn't know the history of that. When she said, she was talking to a CEO of another transit group that said, just put it on the other line. And she was like, we only have one. Or the fact that I know the story that we have deprioritized it. I didn't think about the differences that it makes if your transit system has been running since the 1800s, like she pointed out in Boston. So I saw a little bit of a side of RTD that I hadn't seen before in that conversation, which is they are dealing with something that is decades and decades and decades of an old problem that you can't immediately just fix. Yeah. So give me a little bit of sympathy for RTD.
And Deborah and I were chatting afterwards a little bit, but I think this was the tone. It was like people have really high expectations for RTD, and they want a lot out of it. In this person's case, they want to be able to get from Parker to Denver in less than 2 hours, but in that conversation, it doesn't also come with what is the standard? What is the challenge? Like, why is it so hard? Why is that? They don't have any money.
Right.
They don't have any money.
They don't have any money. Like you said, they're up against decades old lack of infrastructure. How do they get there?
And they don't have any trust. So no one wants to give them more money is the other problem.
Well, yeah, I think for good reason in some cases, if we're talking about trains that never were built and things like that. And again, like she brought up, we didn't get light rail till the 90s. Of course, we had streetcars before that. She mentioned that as well. But it was definitely a frustrating conversation from that perspective of like, so then what do we do? You know, as a pedestrian or as a person in Denver, then what do I do?
Well, that was the other part of the conversation I thought was interesting, was her ideas specifically for getting out of this budget crunch. Like a way, because I proposed, what about a ballot measure of, increasing a sales tax in order to fund RTD better? That would be one way of telling Denverites, like, hey, if you want to have a better transit system, you got to invest in it, you got to pay for it. And she was like, I don't know if I like that idea. Her ideas were, should there be a greater emphasis on parking? Should parking revenue come to RTD to invest back in the transit system? Should we be talking about providing service to activity centers, the core business that we do public transit? So increasing, say, parking meter costs which are very low relative to other cities.
Absolutely.
And sending that money to RTD to invest in public transit. That's a pretty interesting idea. And then her other one was, since she's shifting the service towards these big events downtown to make those easier for people to get to via transit, she was like, what if there was a surcharge on tickets to those big events so people could see when they're buying a ticket, hey, there's a 5% fee for RTD. That way, according to her, you would have to have it in your head as you're making that choice. Like, oh, I'm paying for this RTD anyway. Maybe I should take the bus.
Yeah. I thought about this last weekend when we were looking to go into the Parade of Lights. What would be the easiest way? And I don't know if the light rail would have been the easiest way, but that might have changed my mind about it.
How long would it have taken? Did you look up the time?
No, I didn't, because it was like we'd have to drive to the W, This generally isn't the most effective, but it was an interesting.
Too much of the city is too far from any of this the service.
Yeah, and I think light rail in general too has always kind of felt that way. Like if you literally don't live right on it, it doesn't seem to be helpful to you. Well, we heard tons of feedback about that conversation, and we'll be continuing to talk about it, I'm sure. As always, you can give us a call, 720-500-5418. Let us know what you think about past episodes or anything that's on your mind. You can also email us, denver@citycast.fm. We love to hear from you. Paul, thanks so much.
See you next time.
Oh, hey, before we go, I just wanted to remind you that we're in the midst of our winter membership drive. Become a CityCast Denver neighbor today and help support the great work we've been doing all year long. And speaking of our amazing neighbors, I wanted to give a shout out to our newest members who joined the CityCast Denver Neighbors program. A big thank you to Julie K, Nikki T, Alex H, and Joe C for supporting this show. And hey, Joe C, we see you. Our newsletter editor, Peyton Garcia, says you always play our photo trivia game and you send us lovely photos for us to use in our newsletter regularly. So here's some extra appreciation from us for joining our Neighbors program. Thank you for being an active part of the community we're trying to build here at CityCast Denver. So be like Joe. Join our membership program today at membership.citycast.fm and become a neighbor for just $10 a month. That's membership.citycast.fm. And hey, if you help us hit our goal this season, you will get a free ticket to our Denver's Denver Awards show on December 18th and an invite to our members-only after party. Just go to membership.citycast.fm. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell Senator John Hickenlooper about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.